Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To both of you, congratulations on your nominations. Mr. Menendez and Mr. Desmond, as taxpayers attempt to navigate their way through the tax code, they need to be able to rely on a consistent and uniform interpretation of the nation's tax law. They need to know that rulings made yesterday will still apply today, and a small business in Louisiana will be treated as the same one in New Jersey. Do you both pledge to adhere to longstanding precedents that have been established by the Treasury Department and the IRS?
Senator, with respect to published guidance, yes, that revenue rulings, regulations, those kinds of things are things that should be followed consistently unless they're changed going forward.
Mr. Menendez?
I agree with that.
Okay. Do you both pledge to give taxpayers the same fair treatment regardless of what state they're from?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Good. So those, from my perspective, they were both the right answers. So let's apply this agreed-upon principle to an issue currently facing states like New Jersey. New Jersey recently joined 32 other states and the District of Columbia in offering local tax credits as an incentive for residents to donate to approved nonprofits. Many of the other 32 states ran similar programs for years, which have been both blessed by the IRS and the United States Supreme Court. Indeed, in 2011, the IRS Chief Counsel released an advisory memo clarifying that state tax credits given in return for charitable contributions do not, I repeat, do not prohibit taxpayers from writing off the full value of their charitable donations. In other words, getting a tax break doesn't mean you earned more money, and thus you shouldn't have to be taxed more as a result. The Supreme Court confirmed this interpretation with a 2011 ruling that found that state tax credits given for charitable donations should not be considered a thing of value and instead are, to quote Justice Kennedy, the government declining to impose a tax. This decision confirmed two things. State tax benefits, even dollar-for-dollar credits, do not reduce the value of federal charitable deductions. And two, such donations do not constitute a satisfaction of tax liability. Put in plain English, it's simply illogical, impractical, and fundamentally backwards to tax people on the value of a tax break that they receive. But despite 32 other states running similar programs for many years, despite these programs being specifically blessed by the IRS in 2011, and despite the U.S. Supreme Court further confirming this interpretation, the IRS is now threatening New Jersey taxpayers and others with potential consequences for participating. So can you commit to reversing course and stopping the IRS and Treasury Department from targeting taxpayers in states like New Jersey and instead pledge to apply the law equally regardless of which state a taxpayer is from?
Senator, I'm certainly very familiar with the issue, being a resident of California, and I know that there are some authorities that you referenced, case law in particular, and also case-specific guidance that the IRS has issued in the past. Obviously, I wasn't part of that, but I am familiar with that and some of the discussion that has been happening recently. So I do commit to looking into and understanding the issue more carefully. It is a complicated issue involving issues of donative intent. You'd referenced the quid pro quo concepts that are also involved. So I do commit to looking into the issue and ensuring that I understand it.
Well, can you point to me anywhere that the law has changed, either through an IRS guidance and memo or through a Supreme Court decision?
Sitting here today, Senator, I can't point to any change in the charitable donation laws in Section 170. I think this issue is being driven currently in the states by changes to other provisions in the code dealing with the deductibility of state and local taxes. But
well, I challenge you to show me, for example, where in the Trump tax bill that passed into law did it prohibit state tax credit programs for charitable donations? Because it's not there. I sit on this committee. I can tell you what's in it and what's not. So I read the bill, and nothing in it prevents the 32 states that are already doing this from continuing to operate their programs or additional states from developing new programs on their own. So here's what my problem is going to be, gentlemen. You either treat my state and states similarly situated the same as the 32 other states, or you take it away from the 32 other states, which happen to be very red states. This is called the United States of America, not the red and blue states of America. And so until I have a sense of satisfaction that that's where we're headed in being treated fairly and not having the IRS weaponized against certain states, I will have a problem with these nominations, not on your competency, but on the question of the substance of how you will approach this. I have to understand that there's fairness here at the end of the day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.